it's still just like therapeutic for me to read it all and to go through it and to put the characters and to relive that space. Like one time I did, I think like 3 chapters in one night, and I felt like your character. I was just like,
Yeah.
and I'm loving the character that I'm putting into it, and the roller coaster rides that he goes through. I connect to every single line in this book, which is just the coolest thing for me. Like growing up in a small town, but still having like the small punk scene, and like I'm really digging the character that I'm putting into it, and just being out on the other side of everything. That, like we're both now like in the same position.
Yeah.
On the other side of this book, and being able to relate to it so much is just really rewarding for me, and everything about girls too, dude. Like I'm putting all of my experience into my voice for these moments, and I don't know, man. It's still just like therapeutic for me to read it all and to go through it and to put the characters and to relive that space. Like one time I did, I think like 3 chapters in one night, and I felt like your character. I was just like,
Yeah. No, I know. That's like we talked about this. Like I was scared of that for you because of your like new sobriety and like just how fucked up I was when I wrote this book. It could be triggering to some people.
Sure.
I don't want anybody to have to deal with that. If you go into reading it knowing that I'm still alive and I'm still here, that's why I want to do these things, is so people can see where I'm at now. And like not read this and be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to take a bunch of pills and fucking write something like this. Like, no, like this was one of the worst parts of my life. And now enjoy the roller coaster because I think it's a fucking entertaining story.
Yeah, it really is. But
know that like the important part is coming out on the other side of it.
Yeah, we're both on the other side, and like as triggering as it may be, it's I don't think that it's going to suck people down a dark hole.
Yeah.
You know, I really don't.
Because why would you want to feel anything in this book? You know, like it should like trigger you to get your shit together. Absolutely. So you don't feel or experience the pain that's in this book.
Yeah. It only recently turned midnight, so in the last 15 hours or so, I've popped some Adderall, some Xanax, a few Stellas. That I picked up at the bodega before coming to this hotel, so my habit wouldn't leave me with a regrettable minibar bill. And a quarter of a fifth of Johnny Walker. I'm a writer. I don't do meth. Yeah, I'm not Chris Farley or John Belushi because, contrary to the popular belief of those who know me, I do want to live. That's another problem. I want to live. This hotel I'm staying in is in the fucking middle of fucking Times Square in New York City. Can someone please tell me who the fuck enjoys Times Square? It's because I want to live that, even though I was committed to sitting in here drinking and writing, I left. I walked out of this hotel knowing very well what was outside. Tourists. Lots of fucking tourists. Actually, I don't hate tourists. I haven't been in New York for long, so I'm nowhere near native enough to talk shit. I just hate people. And I am definitely native enough to this planet to know I hate people. I hate people and I hate crowds. Hence the Xanax and the cigarettes. I'm actually not a smoker. That's the best kind of smoker to be because a cigarette every now and then always does the job. And I never picked up smoking because I saw my dad try so hard to quit in his late 30s. And the guy was on the patch, the gum, and still smoking. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I never saw him during his struggle with alcohol. He's 30 plus years sober. Woohoo. So, I pour it down my throat like someone lost in the desert coming to his first oasis. Every happy hour, every shot, every pint is an oasis from life for me. Now, it's not like life is hard for me. I think most mature adult drinkers can admit that drinking doesn't really change anything. Here's what it does change for me. Like I said, I don't believe a writer must drink or do drugs to be good, but I must drink and do drugs to write. Now, I'm not better or more creative, but I'm more in touch with my emotions. Now, I've never argued that alcohol isn't a depressant, and I've also never cared. What do we learn from the music and the books and the films that are about happy people? All of those things require conflict, heartbreak, and pain to deliver their message. Now, I'm not a bitter person when I'm sober. I'm not a bitter person when I'm drunk either, but my mind is more in touch with the shit. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky dude most of the time. I also don't write most of the time. You know when I write? On the train after a long day and night of drinking, or anywhere after a long day and night of drinking. That's just how it works for me. Maybe one day the booze and the drugs won't do the trick for me anymore, and I'll go the way of some of my favorite writers. But a bigger part of me feels that if I just write, if I just finish something, I'll be happy. And there have actually been those days when happiness just seems so far out of reach that the easy way out seems appealing. There was a very short period in my life, like a few months that I slept through, where I'd take a couple of Ambien in the afternoon, even though usually one would do the trick, pass out, wake up at night, and then take a few more to go right back to sleep. For this very brief, in the grand scheme of things, part of my life, I just wanted to sleep, and I didn't care if I woke up. I don't know if it was the height of my unhappiness, but it was more about the lack of options that the U.S. Army provides to escape that unhappiness. But, as I mentioned earlier, luckily, I have that writer's ego that makes me think I'm too important to kill myself. This weekend, that is what is keeping me going. The world needs to hear what I have to say, or at least that's what I think. And we've established that's all that matters to me.